What is up, my polar bears? I am here with another book to review. Today, I am going to be reviewing a lovely book called A Blade So Black. I'll include links to the book and a first rundown of how I first ran across this book. It's actually on the They Just reading list of 2019, which, if you don't know, it's a Texas reading list for teenagers and young adults that has a list of like 60 books that you're supposed to try to read that are like up and coming, really good books for young adults. The basic premise of the book is a retelling of Alice in Wonderland with more diversity and more monster fighting. Our main character, Alice, becomes a dream walker, which is essentially a person who goes into the realm of Wonderland to fight these monsters called nightmares and prevent them from coming to the human world and destroy it. Currently, I am drawing her teacher and one of my honestly favorite characters of the book, Hada. He is absolutely great. So essentially what happens is that there was a big war in Wonderland that caused a rift within the kingdom and caused it to go from just one kingdom to basically two kingdoms. And that was led by who is known as the Black Queen. The Black Queen had a knight, the Dark Knight, who was basically her, second in command, who was sent off to do all the good destruction for her. One day, our main character Alice is attacked by a man who claims to be the Dark Knight, and she is sort of put into this quest forcefully where she has to gather missing items that have been hidden by the different queens to try to save her teacher Haddon, to save the world from this Dark Knight. That is the essential premise, and I will not reveal any more because I don't want to spoil it. It's a really nice story. It is filled with riddles. It's actually pretty fun, and I guess I just enjoyed the diversity, and especially with things like the Black Lives Matter movement going on. It's a nice story to read because our main character, Alice, she is actually African American, and she ends up almost quitting the dream walking because there was a young girl, Brianne, who was murdered, and she's scared to keep being a dream walker because her mom is very on edge after losing her only child, which is absolutely terrible. And it's just, there's this underlying thing of like conflict between Alice, because not only does she have to be a hero, but she also has to try to be perfect in society despite society treating her so unfairly. And it's just a very interesting conflict that I think is nice and helpful. Of course, there are other books you can totally check out that hammer home more of police brutality and what it means. I enjoy the story because it is a very fun retelling of Alice in Wonderland. It just adds so many interesting aspects, including diversity. Another character that is turned diverse is our character here, Madeline, who is sort of like not a sidekick, but another main character of our little group of heroes. She is actually shown to be Hispanic, and I think it's just nice to see diversity in such a popular story. Out of all the characters are pretty nice. We have Alice and her mom, who are African American. Maddie is the only Hispanic. We have 3 Caucasian characters, that being Hada, Alice's best friend Courtney, and Alice's other best friend, whose name is slipping out of my mind. They're all very interesting characters, and it is just a very fun dynamic. Not only the dynamic of seeing them interact, but because the author actually does bring real life dynamics into the world, there's like a conflict where, like I said, Alice is talking about quitting being a dream walker because of everything going on the real world and all the police brutality, and her friend Courtney just does not get it because she has never really had to think about how in an interaction with the police she could end up dying, and that is just a very simple detail that I think it's nice and brings some relevance to the books. Overall, all the characters are fairly unique, and personally I not only read the book but I also listened to the audiobook, which was really nice because the person who is tasked with reading the audiobook actually puts on accents for all the characters. For example, Hada in the book is described to have a British accent, so the narrator actually does give him a British accent. A little detail you'll notice here is that I colored in one set of Maddie's eyes blue and another set with green. That is because it is explained that Hada and Maddie, being from Wonderland, their eye colors actually constantly shift, depending on just blinking particularly. I took more freedom with their outfits because those are not really described as detailed. Especially Maddie's, she's just described as very cute and very small. So I took that to be, liberty. I didn't really change Hada's eyes much because even though his eyes also change color, they are also always kind of described to have that underlying gray color. Meanwhile, Maddie's are actually, like, in the paragraph that I used to help me guide the drawing, are described to go from green to blue and then to, like, yellow, all in the span of, like, 10 minutes. Overall, the characters are unique, and the characters don't all seem the same. Alice, of course, has the strongest voice, but she is very different from all the Dreamwalkers. The only two characters that I think might mix a little bit are the twins that a set of twins that are sort of other Dreamwalkers, because of course Alice is not the only Dreamwalker out there. About how I feel about the plot is that it was a good plot. The pacing was very nice. There is a plot twist that I believe might be surprising to some people. I personally saw it coming, so I wasn't entirely surprised by it. But then again, I also saw a plot twist coming in Zootopia, so I guess I'm not the best at getting taken aback by plot twists. Overall, I think it is a very, very nice story. I think it has nice elements. Like, I think it really, really is a very good spin. It takes that story of Alice in Wonderland and really kind of comes away from the concept enough to make it, like, unique. And I really, really enjoy that. Because, I don't know, I like the idea of taking a story that has already been told and adding, like, such a unique spin to it. I've read other books that do this, but for some reason I just really enjoy this because Alice is a very likable character. It's not really a chosen one scenario. It's her choice to fight the battle, and that's always a nice change of meaning and nice change of tone when reading a book, because a lot of fantasy books fall into this idea of, like, the chosen one, and I love the chosen one stories, don't get me wrong. They're nice and they're some of my favorite for feel-good books, but it's always nice to read a story where the main character chooses to be the hero and against all odds does their best to be the hero. And Alice is just an absolutely likable character, so gotta adore her. I guess my only criticisms about the books is that I wish there was a bit more Hada, but that's just me. There is a second book. This is a series. The second book is actually called A Dream So Dark, and I actually have it on my library. I have it borrowed from the library, so I'll be reading it and possibly doing a second review on that book. I absolutely do think you should check it out. I enjoyed the book a lot. Is it on my top 10? No, but it was a very cute story. I didn't dislike it, but it was alright. It was not bad. It was pretty good, but I wouldn't call it amazing, because there are some little flaws here and there are areas where the story could have been made more enjoyable. But overall, it was a lovely book, and you should totally check it out for yourself and tell me what you think. Have a lovely day, and I hope you are all doing better.